This man is in hiding. He's about to reveal his identity as a former spy for Australia who infiltrated a dangerous network of terrorists and extremists.
I worked for ASIO as an undercover agent for about 6 years to discover any potential attacks or plots that may target Australians.
He helped prevent attacks and save lives at a huge personal cost.
I lived 2 lives. One normal life, as my family, they have no idea. And I lived another life with targets, with extremist people.
Hearing about a case of infiltration like this is obviously mind-blowing.
Human sources have been central to our success. Their secret work protects Australian safety, security and prosperity.
The secret agent cultivated a notorious preacher who's been free to peddle his influence for decades.
If you attack Allah, then you are going to be met with men who love death more than you love life.
And whose young followers are accused of a new wave of terrorism and hate crimes.
What do you say to those who accuse you of being a leader in a community of violent extremists?
If I am a leader of violent extremism, if that was the case, why aren't I in jail?
Intelligence agencies warn a shocking number of teenagers are now being radicalised in Australia. And internationally, the Islamic State terrorist group is reawakening. For the first time, we take you inside the extremist network growing in the suburbs of Sydney and across the world. We uncover critical red flags in the lead-up to Australia's first jihadist attack in years.
It could be prevented, and the consequences that happened could be avoided.
Take one.
And we reveal the extraordinary risks one man's taken to keep Australians safe. Are you ready?
Yeah.
A 16-year-old boy approaches a church in Sydney with a plan for violence. Inside, the church is live streaming a sermon by a controversial bishop to thousands of followers. The bishop has been a hated target of Sydney's jihadist community for years. The stabbing of a Syrian Orthodox Bishop Mari Emanuel in Wakeley went viral. His supporters rushed to the church.
People are praying you're gonna come and do this.
As the attacker was pinned down inside, the boy had a message for his victim. On the other side of the world, a man saw the attack on the news. He recognised the boy in the video and decided he could no longer be silent about what he knew.
Hello.
So he contacted me.
What happened should be known. There is a public benefit to describe exactly why what happened.
After months, we've verified he has accurate information that only someone on the inside could know.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Safe travels. What's happening?
It's too risky to meet in Australia.
Welcome to London, where the local time is 6:22 in the morning.
So I know this is a big step for you, but can you tell us your name and what you did in Australia?
My alias is Marcus. I worked for ASIO as an undercover agent for about 6 years. I was pretending I am an extremist. I was pretending I was supporter of ISIS.
Marcus posed as an extremist imam to infiltrate supporters of the Islamic State terrorist group in Sydney. He worked with Australia's spy agency ASIO until 2023.
You're taking very serious risks by doing this interview.
Honestly, I have a concern regarding my safety, my family, my children as well.
You're risking your life now to take this stand, aren't you?
Yes, it's kind of.
At the time of this interview, Marcus was preparing to move to a safe and secret location, where withholding his real name and home country, he's also risking jail time for speaking about ASIO's work.
The work that ASIO does is built on secrecy, so some might say that you're undermining that work by speaking out, by speaking to us. How do you respond?
What is the purpose of intelligence? To protect public security. This will really make a difference and will help many people to understand the danger of extremism.
How do you think the people who've known you for all these years, your targets, your loved ones, how will they take this news?
It will be such a big surprise. They will never ever thought who I am, stand now sitting in front of the camera and telling my story.
In this secretive world of intelligence, we can't verify exactly how Marcus started out as a spy. We know he was recruited from overseas, and we've been able to confirm most of his extraordinary story with the help of court documents, open source intelligence, contacts in counter-terrorism, and people in his target's community.
Marcus's mission to infiltrate the jihadist network officially began in 2017, when he landed in Sydney with his wife and children.
My officers were waiting for me. They told me, we prepared everything for you, your house, furniture, everything, and even my children enrollment. And they gave me phones with number, so we started contacted after that, and we started from there.
Marcus's young family started a new life in Australia. His cover story was that he came to find work as an imam and study early childhood education.
I lived 2 lives. One normal life. My family, they have no idea. They don't know anything about this job at all. And I lived another life with targets, with extremist people. And I had to keep balance between those lives.
In secret, he was summoned to meetings with ASIO. He says officers trailed him along the way.
They showed me photos for targets. They taught me to build relationship with those targets. And slowly, slowly, my web became bigger and bigger. I spent sometimes months with some targets to gain their trust. So it was not easy at all.
Marcus would spend years pursuing extremist leader Wisam Haddad, known to his followers as Abu Usaid.
We as Muslims are very just and patient.
How important was Abu Usaid to you and to ASIO as a target?
They look at him as he's the most important jihadist, extremist preacher in Sydney.
If you attack Allah, if you attack our Prophet, our religion, and our fellow brothers and sisters, and if you attack our land, then you are going to be met with men who love death more than you love life.
Wisam Haddad has been at the centre of Australia's jihadist network for most of his adult life. We've mapped his close ties to a web of recruiters, terrorist cells, radical prayer groups, and foreign fighters. He first hit the headlines more than a decade ago at a violent protest with notorious terrorists like Khalid Sharif and Mohammed El-Amar. They would later shock the world with atrocities in Syria, with Haddad's backing on social media. They were all mainstays at Haddad's radical bookstore, the Al-Razala Islamic Centre, where preachers recruited followers to fight with terrorist groups in Syria.
They are calling day and night for us to support them with our wealth and with our blood and with whatever we possess.
Haddad's centre set up a preaching group called Street Dawah. Police discovered some Street Dawah members were recruiting teenagers for a terrorist cell which plotted attacks, including the shooting murder of a police accountant in Parramatta by a 15-year-old. Haddad has never been charged with terrorism-related offences, but authorities consider him so dangerous he's forbidden from owning guns, and courts have banned many convicted terrorists from communicating with him.
He's a very clever individual. He's aware of the parameters and limitations of the law. He is also aware of what is and isn't acceptable in relation to what would cause or constitute an offence and what doesn't.
Abu Usaid is very smart. It's not easy to get his trust. He doubts everyone, doubts everything. He's a very close person. He has leadership skills, high level.
For years, preachers in Haddad's network have radicalised young followers in secret prayer groups. It was Marcus's task to infiltrate them. High on the list was Haddad's closest protégé, self-styled sheikh and media provocateur Junaid Thorne.
Look at other parts of the world. Our sisters being raped by these filthy Jews and Christians.
Marcus says Thorne confided in him that he was indoctrinating followers using official Islamic State textbooks.
ISIL, that time, used to teach this book to their fighters in their training camps in Iraq and Syria. So he showed me that book. I showed him, like, I'm so proud. That's very nice. I reported that to ASIO.
According to Marcus, ASIO launched a sting to get him inside the study group. He says he set up a sham education centre in his home and convinced Thorne to enlist him as a religious teacher and leader.
I make a classroom and I started teaching them, and they became very, very comfortable, and those students were under my monitoring. I was very close to them, and I used to see them more than my family.
He would discover members of his study circle worked with senior echelons of the Islamic State group across the world. One pupil, 21-year-old Radwan Dakar, helped run a prolific media group called Alut Taweed Publications, or ATP, led by an American known only as Abu Hamza. ATP churned out propaganda, including a weekly newsletter.
This newsletter used to share techniques of attacking Western countries from ISIL, how to make bombs. It was easily reached online, unfortunately, and that helped, unfortunately, also to radicalize people around the world.
From 2017 until 2021, the Al Tawhid Publications Network, ATP, was the most important pro-Islamic State online network around. Radwan Dakak from Australia appears to have played a very central role in making the network so prominent. These guys are incredibly difficult to identify and to strike because their work is so secretive.
Marcus says Dakak invited him into the ATP leadership group as his ustad, a respected teacher or spiritual leader. It was in this encrypted chat group that Marcus met ATP boss Abu Hamza.
I spent like years in this group discovering his job, his organization. Every meeting, ASIO officers used to take screenshots from my phone about Al Tawhid, about any new member. I used to speak with him privately, and he trusted me, and he used to call me Ustaz as well. So that showed me he respected me.
He says Abu Hamza was the key to entering a global network from his Sydney home, inviting him into chat group after chat group involving senior terrorists in Syria and around the world. According to Marcus, the intelligence was so valuable, it was shared with the CIA and MI6.
Hearing about a case of infiltration like this is obviously mind-blowing. Having a person who is really at the center of these networks, it's something that can prevent terrorism from taking place in countries like Australia.
Another student, Isaac El-Matari, was plotting with contacts in Lebanon to import guns and explosives, according to Marcus. On a drive late one night, Matari shared a chilling plan.
He told me he wants to start a guerrilla war to establish an Islamic State like authority in the Blue Mountains area.
So he told you he wants to do a guerrilla war in Australia?
Yes. Yes. I was shocked. Honestly, I couldn't look at him when he was speaking.
Matari declared himself the Islamic State group's Australian commander. He hatched grandiose plans to attack police, courts, and Sydney's St Mary's Cathedral.
I parked in front of my house and I sent a message to my officer. I gave him a report. I cried in my car. Then I entered my home. My family was sleeping. So I couldn't sleep this night.
2 years into Marcus's Australian mission, police arrested members of his study circle. Radwan Dakak and Isaac El-Matari were jailed for terrorism offences. Junaid Thorne was eventually convicted of supplying drugs, which Marcus says funded terrorism. The FBI later captured Abu Hamza, an American called Benjamin Carpenter, who was jailed for 20 years. According to Marcus, his intelligence would ultimately help authorities arrest at least 6 Australian members of the study group.
They were very happy of my work. They used to tell me that we are so proud we having you. You are our ears. You are our eyes.
His double life as a spy and a spiritual leader to the young men was starting to take a toll.
I was so sad because I tried my best to advise them to turn away, to move away, when I found out they are going to do what they wanted to do. But I had to say it in wise and smart way. But unfortunately, some of them, they didn't listen. So they must be stopped.
Marcus's next ASIO mission was to get close to the man at the centre of Australia's pro-Islamic State network, Wisam Haddad, or Abu Usaid. He'd been on ASIO's radar for years and was now opening a new prayer centre.
Some of my targets were affected by Abu Usaid's teachings.
Are you suggesting he radicalised them?
Yes, they became extremist after they attended Madina Dawah Center and have been exposed to the speech and the lessons.
Muslims, they starving for jihad. Their hearts are aching for jihad. They can't wait to be amongst the mujahideen.
At Madina Dawah Centre in Bankstown, Haddad and his preachers deliver hateful lectures quoting religious passages.
Towards the end of times, when the Muslims will be fighting the Jews, the trees will speak, the stone will speak, and they'll say, "O Muslim, O believer, there is a Yahudi behind me, come and kill him."
We do not hide from the fact that homosexuality under the Sharia, after being judged with the Quran and the Sunnah by an Islamic judge in an Islamic court in Islamic lands, is punishable by death. Allah.
Marcus was there from the early days as an imam and leader.
ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له.
As he helped build the centre's following, he says he witnessed Haddad's preachers indoctrinating teenagers.
I told ASIO, you think you are in an ISIL camp in Syria or in Iraq. The materials of ISIL, videos, the songs of ISIL, they are aware about all this information.
You said events at Madina Dawah Centre were like an ISIS training camp for young people.
Yep.
To reach more young people, Haddad set up a new street preaching venture, the Dawah Van. Social media videos show how Marcus became one of Haddad's Dawah Van crew. The group sought to convert new followers while presenting a peaceful image. According to Marcus, Haddad only spoke in code to his followers about Islamic State, and on at least one occasion offered carefully worded advice.
He told them, if you want to do something, don't come to me, don't tell anyone, keep your secret. If you believe it and you are happy with this, and you think you are doing good job, and you think you are doing the jihad, go do it. Don't be an easy target. Say you will be stopped and jailed for a long time.
You said you heard him say to his followers, if you want to do something, i.e. something violent, don't tell me, just do it.
Yes.
At the same time, Marcus discovered Haddad was working with one of the biggest radicalisers in the international jihad, Anjem Choudary in the UK.
Abu Usaid looked at Anjem Choudary as like his big brother. He gave a lot of advice to copy his experience into Australian community. He said he's our sheikh and we should learn from him.
Anjem Choudary was the leader of an influential jihadist movement, Al-Muhajirun or ALM. From its early days in London, al-Muhajirun built a following through street preaching and divisive protests.
Whoever insults the Prophet, kill him!
Anjem Choudary has been the voice of radicalisation in the UK for many years. A constant presence in a number of individuals' radicalisation journey to get to a point where they felt they needed to go and conduct a terrorist attack.
In 2005, as the threat of terrorism reached new heights, the group was banned in the UK, but followers shocked the world with attacks and atrocities for years to come.
Al-Muhajirun is undoubtedly the most important extremist network we have seen in the West ever. They developed a whole new way of Islamic activism in the West. We saw that groups were popping up around Europe and around the globe with connections to Anjem and the ALM network.
Among those connections was Wisam Haddad. Marcus says in 2021, Haddad invited him to a secret WhatsApp group with Choudary.
The purpose behind that was he's going to help us massively, like to help Abu Usaid Center to be bigger and to be more active.
Marcus was reporting it all to his ASIO handlers. He says Choudary advised Haddad on how to radicalise Australians and build a community that only obeyed Sharia law, street by street, suburb by suburb.
The project that Anjem Choudary has, if you couldn't go overseas to join Islamic Caliphate, you need to establish your own one.
While working with Choudary, Haddad rapidly expanded Al Madina Dawah Centre and turbocharged his social media presence. He targeted children with a Saturday school and online competitions for the young faithful.
Keep going, keep going.
There was a new fight gym and events for the whole family.
Good, very good.
Haddad also launched an ALM scripted anti-democracy campaign.
This struggle
and he spoke at online conferences with Choudary.
I'm calling for the Sharia wherever you are, calling for the liberation of Muslim land.
Stand back! Stand back!
Anjem Choudary was arrested in London in 2023.
Stand back! Stand back! Hold your hands up! Show me your hands! Show me your hands, please! Come over here! Come over here! Come over here!
An undercover investigation into Chowdary's connections with a group in the US caught him admitting he was leading an international terrorist organisation.
Anjem, I am arresting you under Section 41 of the Terrorism Act 2000 as I suspect that you are a terrorist and involved in the commission, preparation and instigation of acts of terrorism.
Choudary has been jailed for life and is appealing the conviction. Police in Australia wouldn't tell us whether they investigated Chowdary's operations here and his connections to Wisam Haddad. Despite intense monitoring of Wisam Haddad and his network, authorities have been too late to intervene, to rescue young Australians from being radicalised, or worse, prevent an attack. In April last year, the near killing of Bishop Marmari Emanuel delivered a chilling message. Jihadist terrorism was back. The 16-year-old attacker can't be identified because he's a juvenile. The morning after the attack, while he was under guard in hospital, New South Wales police said he'd never been on the counter-terrorism radar.
I think the important thing here is that he wasn't known to us from a terrorism point of view. He was not on any terror watch list. This is the first time this individual has come to our attention in this manner.
If the teenager wasn't known to counter-terrorism authorities, he should have been. At the time of the attack, he was in a group chat with dangerous extremists. We don't know when the boy joined, but Marcus says he first warned ASIO about the group chat called Brotherhood 2 years before the stabbing.
I was so angry, honestly. Like, why this happened? They should stop it. I provided them from the beginning specific information about people who are speaking violently against the bishop.
Marcus says that in 2022, he showed ASIO messages from the Brotherhood group in which extremists urged revenge against the bishop for insulting the Prophet Muhammad.
Muhammad is dead and rotted in the grave. Satan will not attack Muhammad because he won him long time ago.
Marcus says the Brotherhood group had scores of members, including leaders from Al Madina Dawah Centre. He remembers people sharing the bishop's photo and location and calling for an attack like the 2015 massacre targeting France's Charlie Hebdo magazine.
There were several comments encouraging doing something like this towards the bishop. This is how Mujahideen deal with those who attacked our prophet. This will shut him up. This will cut his tongue off.
We only have Marcus's account of what happened in his meetings with ASIO, but counter-terrorism sources have confirmed to us authorities did have intelligence about the threats in the Brotherhood group from mid-2022.
Multiple times I showed them messages on my phone. I used to send them screenshots as well with contacts of people who posted those posts.
Later in 2022, ASIO lowered Australia's official terrorism threat level, claiming the influence and capability of jihadist groups had diminished. Marcus says the threats against Bishop Emmanuel continued.
At the end of 2022, the level of threat against Australia lowered down from probable to possible. So they became less interested, unfortunately, in my messages and my warning.
So do you believe ASIO listened to your warnings?
No, I don't think so.
He left Australia in mid-2023. But Marcus's intelligence wasn't the only red flag before the attack by the 16-year-old boy.
We've discovered he was associating with 2 known extremists from the Brotherhood group. He was arrested with one of those extremists, a teenager, after an incident at Liverpool train station less than 5 months before the stabbing.
The pair chased rail workers while the extremist was wielding a hunting knife. Police had a long intelligence file on the teenage extremist. Years earlier, they locked up his father for fighting in Syria. What's more, the teenager was on the authorities' radar as part of a state government de-radicalisation program run in coordination with New South Wales Police.
It's very hard for me to believe that we haven't learnt from our mistakes of the past in terms of the connectedness of groups of people, especially young people.
Peter Lowe ran de-radicalisation programs in the juvenile justice system. She says the Wakeley attackers' relationship with a known extremist was crucial intelligence for authorities to assess any future risk.
What should have been done? What would the standard protocol have been?
I would have expected that he would have been engaged in some sort of conversation, in some sort of level of assessment, and in some sort of intervention.
So you ready to become Muslim? Yeah. Bro, you ready to become Muslim?
The second extremist the Wakeley attacker was associating with is seen here in a green t-shirt. Alleged Islamic State recruiter Wisam Haddad. He's looking for new followers with Wisam Haddad and the Dawah van crew. Fayyad has been identified by police as one of Australia's most dangerous extremists. They named him more than a decade ago as a member of a terror cell that recruited teenagers for attacks.
I bear witness, and I testify that there is no God worthy of worship except Allah.
He's a violent, convicted criminal and was also part of the Brotherhood chat group.
Takbir! Takbir! That means, glory be to God, Allah is great. We're embracing you, that now you are our brother. Any other good takers? This might be the next influence to you guys.
Sources have told us that despite tight monitoring of Fayyad, authorities didn't pick up on his connection with the Wakeley attacker until after the stabbing.
Now that Allah has blessed 1, 2, 3.
At face value, it sounds like there was opportunity to prevent and disrupt that. That's definitely something that needs to be reviewed.
In counter-terrorism, our agencies face a constant challenge, distinguishing between what they call chatter and specific threats. But by the time of the Wakeley stabbing, there were clear warning signs about the attacker. He was in an extremist chat group which had canvassed an attack on the bishop for years. The boy was associating with a member of that chat group, one of Australia's highest priority counter-terrorism targets, and a recruiter in Wisam Haddad's network. Perhaps most astonishingly of all, the 16-year-old was arrested by New South Wales police with another member of the Brotherhood group, a known extremist on a de-radicalisation program over a knife incident. What we don't know is how much of this intelligence was shared between the agencies we trust to prevent an attack. We asked ASIO, the New South Wales Police and Australian Federal Police, but they wouldn't tell us. What's clear is they acted quickly after the stabbing.
In the weeks after the Wakeley stabbing, police launched raids on an alleged terrorist network involving members of the Brotherhood chat.
We identified links between the alleged offender and a network of associates and peers who we believe shared a similar violent extremist ideology.
Several were young followers of Wisam Haddad, like the teenager who took this selfie at Al Madina Dawah Centre and captioned it, "New Dawah or Islamic State recruit." He was charged with conspiring with 3 boys to plan a terrorist attack on targets including Jews. Other members of their group are accused of luring and bashing gay people as a twisted religious punishment. Wasim Fayyad and the teenage extremist from Liverpool Station were raided but not charged.
Police say your son carried out a...
After the raids, I interviewed the parents of the Wakeley attacker.
My son is not terrorist. My son have a problem and only he needs help.
When Marcus saw the interview, their anguish brought back memories of families who lost their children to extremism. He recognised their son from Al Madina Dawah Centre.
I knew the reaction and the suffering that his family and their mums had. That made me sad. So I hope they stop it. I saw the interview. It broke my heart. And also when, like when I saw like the riots, and this shouldn't happen in Sydney as a multicultural place. Sorry.
It's okay.
Second.
Sure. Why do you think it is this that makes you so upset?
Because it could be prevented, and the consequences that happened could be avoided.
New South Wales Police and the AFP declined to respond to our questions, including whether the attack could have been prevented, because they said the matters were before the courts or under investigation. Only ASIO provided a response, saying the insinuation it would not act on intelligence about a terrorist attack is as false as it is offensive.
A one-eyed Dajjal, who by day and night attacks Islam.
If Haddad is afraid of the glare of authorities, he doesn't show it.
All that spit does is come back and land on the person's face.
In fact, he seems to revel in it.
This Khalid, this putrid individual.
After the stabbing, instead of condemning the maiming of Bishop Emmanuel, he provoked his followers to anger, declaring the bishop an enemy of Allah.
So to this bishop, and to anyone like him, we openly say, we have not and will not forget your insults, your lies and your slander against our religion and our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. God sends revelation with his angel to the Prophet.
Haddad continues to seek new followers through his Dawah van group, a government-registered charity.
It's just logically.
He agreed to speak with us while preaching at Sydney's Town Hall.
What do you say to those who accuse you of being a leader in a community of violent extremists?
If I am a leader of violent extremism, why is it that people on the grapevine are saying these words, but law enforcement don't have the same information? So either the people who are speaking in this way know more than law enforcement, or law enforcement doesn't know what it's doing. Which of the two is it?
Aren't you inciting people to violence?
No. It's reminding people that don't come near our Prophet, don't insult our Prophet.
Haddad insists he has nothing to do with the UK terror group Al-Muhajirun, but calls its jailed leader, Anjem Choudary, a brother who speaks the truth.
Are you participating in this organisation?
Looks like you're more participating in the lies against him. And if I was involved in any criminal activity or terrorist activity, I'm pretty sure we've got a better security system than reporters, and I'd be arrested.
You've previously expressed your support for Islamic State. Do you still
for the concept of the Islamic State, of course.
Do you still support Islamic State?
Does it exist? I thought that they've been defeated.
What would happen if you said you didn't support them on camera?
Next question.
We later put further questions to Wisam Haddad, including whether he recruits young people and leads a pro-Islamic State network. He says he refutes and denies all inferences and implications in our message and has received legal advice to not engage. Frustrated by a lack of police action against Haddad, Australia's peak Jewish organisation is suing him for racial vilification. Australian governments have also beefed up hate speech and terrorism laws, but the laws are unlikely to capture Haddad's violent message, dressed up as lessons in religion.
This guy has never really been convicted of anything serious. I think that's extremely telling in and of itself.
Former intelligence analyst Tor Hamming says there could be a strategy behind Haddad's continued freedom.
If I was Australian intelligence, I would greatly benefit from having a person like Abu Said functioning as what you call a honeypot in those circles. Basically a person who is attracting extremists across Australia, making it much easier for intelligence services to know who to look for and look after.
I've heard that so many times from the law enforcement community, but what they're missing in that is the young people that are being influenced. It isn't Wisam Haddad who will engage in an act. It's someone who's listening to that.
By the time Marcus left Australia, his relationship with ASIO had fallen apart. He's now in hiding, in an undisclosed location overseas, protecting himself from extremists. He also fears Australian authorities could prosecute him for speaking about his secret work.
I have no future.
We've discovered police charged him 3 years ago with multiple counts of assault and stalking.
What were they over and what happened?
I denied those charges. I pleaded not guilty, and those charges were later withdrawn and dismissed with no finding.
He says his cover was blown around the same time.
I became concerned that the nature of my work with ASIO had become known to some individuals, including several extremists who wished to cause me and my family harm because of my work with ASIO.
Marcus sought restraining orders known as apprehended violence orders. He declared to a court that he was an ASIO agent and his life was at risk.
Because I had to mention my real work with the ASIO. ASIO became unhappy.
Marcus says ASIO had nominated him for permanent residency as a path to citizenship, but had never eventuated because of his court cases. It was at this time that Marcus said he was warning ASIO about threats to the bishop.
And at the end, ASIO got rid of me and abandoned me, unfortunately. We were forced to leave Australia unwillingly. My children are suffering. They lost everything, which makes them isolated, depressed, sad.
ASIO told us it can't comment on individuals' operations or court matters. It also said our questions, including those based on Marcus's claims, contained errors, fabrications and misrepresentations, but wouldn't say what they were. ASIO said it stands by its decisions and conduct. The agency raised the terrorism threat level last year, following attacks including the Wakeley stabbing.
Throughout the long and storied history of the intelligence profession, human sources have been central to our success.
In his rare public appearances, Australia's chief spy, Mike Burgess, uses every opportunity to pay tribute to the sacrifices made by human sources like Marcus.
Fundamentally, they do this for Australia and their fellow Australians. Their secret work protects Australians' safety, security and prosperity.
Marcus wants to come back to Australia, but the government has a history of pursuing those who reveal its secrets. He fears he'll be one of them, but hopes his latest mission will alert the public to the dangers of underestimating extremism.
For public benefit and for Muslim community in Sydney and people who have negative thoughts and opinions about Muslims, about refugees, about migrants in Western countries. This will show them like there are people like me who took risks to safeguard your lives. I sacrificed my time, my life, my family time, everything to achieve the goals and to stop those people